And good evening, everybody. It is time for Licorice Pizza. Again, that's right. I hope you're having a great evening. And this is the show you never know what I'm going to say next. Like this. I've got something very important I'm doing later. And he's the best kangaroo on the planet, Kangaroo Jack. All right. Now let's get down to business. I had a request. I had a request to talk about from Rob. I'll let Rob know. Uh, Check in. He said, "How about Alabama? Not the first Alabama album, but the fourth Alabama album. My home's in Alabama, and that's a band that what can you say? It's like I remember friends back in the day. Oh my God, Donnie, just all you hear is Alabama. I know, and everything they do is number one. But they did have two number ones off their fourth album, My Home's in Alabama. How did I become familiar with Alabama? It was 1980, and I don't know. It wasn't the Grammys, any of those shows. It was maybe a talk show, and these guys came on, and I was there. The TV's on, with the little speaker there. You can barely. And they came on and did My Home's in Alabama, title track to the album, obviously. And I said, look at those guys. There's three guitars on stage, all electric. The drummer, great drummer. And I said, wow, that reminds me of another band that came out in '64. Yeah, called the Beatles. So I'll get to that in just a second. But Alabama, there were some great groups, country groups, mainly country, Statler Brothers, Oak Ridge Boys, Larry Gatlin, the Gatlin Brothers, a little bit later on. But Alabama were a little different. They all have the electric guitars, the kind of scruffy hair. Randy Owen, of course, the lead singer from Alabama. They had a sound, great harmony, great singing, music, and great writing. What can you say about their writing? My goodness. But the two number one songs off that album, My Home's in Alabama, Tennessee River and Why Lady Why. And those two. And the rest is history. After that album came out, they were a household name, Alabama. Never forget that show. And they just set a precedent for precedent. If they influenced so many other bands that came after them. I wish I knew more names of these bands. Of course, Diamond Rio, Shenandoah. What are some of the Boy Howdy? You remember those guys from the early 1990s? And there's more. And after that, of course, Rascal Flatts. All these groups. It was Alabama to me that kind of opened the door for all these other bands. That, hey, we can do this too. Yeah, a lot of bands did. And like Shenandoah, of course, Diamond Rio, huge band in the, I would say they're mainly a 90s band, but Alabama go back to even before 1980. They probably go back to the, early 70s, mid 70s, really. And it takes bands that long to really make it in the business. And it did that because that fourth album, man, was it. And they were on their way. And of course, if any of you listening to this broadcast maybe have seen them live, they were in Lake Placid back early 1980s, I believe. They did a show there and sold out. I think they sold out. If they didn't, there's something wrong. But anyway, then they came out with all these other albums, Mountain Music, High Cotton, of course. Remember the one from '92? Yeah, there's an example, Crossover. They weren't just country. I think they became more pop in the late '80s with I'm in a Hurry and Don't Know Why. Sounds like a lot of people's lives, right? Especially today. And first of all, we're gonna their comparison to like what the Beatles did in '64, right, where there was all these singing groups, but the electric guitars, the hair, all that stuff, different. And Alabama was different. And like I say, the floodgates opened when they came around. Now we're going to talk about Underrated Slice. Underrated song, I would say. And what a beautiful song it is. Lady Down on Love. That's a ballad. Very slow song. It's a ballad, great tune. And if I had to say, my favorite slice would be Forever Is As Far As I'll Go. That one, I believe, was 94. Another great song. If you've never heard Forever Is As Far As I'll Go, listen to it. It is just a killer song. And Lady Down on Love, another one. Great song. They performed that, I believe, around 83, 84 in the Grammy Awards. And I never forget watching. I said, oh my God, they're doing this live. And it was absolutely amazing. So Alabama, yes, my home's in Alabama. And if you're, Alabama fan, hey, you know. And another thing I was mentioning before I leave, if you have something or a group or a singer you want on the Licorice Pizza program, hey, we'll do that. And that's the whole reason I do this. So there you have it. Now, I think that will end that. But if you've never end this program, I should say, if you've never heard that album, not just the number one singles off it, but just the whole album. I love the singles. Don't get me wrong. Everything back in the '60s, that was the single. But I like the whole album thing. Okay, they're not going to release obviously every song off the album, but yeah, there's some great tunes that were never released, and a lot of work go into these recordings. So that'll be it for that. Now, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this broadcast. That would be very helpful. Have yourself a great rest of your night, and I'll see you next week.